All righty. Greetings, friends around the world. I used to consider myself the 800-pound gorilla of the internet because you can get on your keyboards and debate with anybody. They may not know that you're an old man. They may not know that you're a geek, a twerp, or a wuss. Uh, you just had to be good with words, and you had to have. It helps to have a fund of knowledge, and of course, you can always um, supplement that with a little quick Google search and then pretend to be an expert on lasers or optical, um, oh, optically stimulated translucence. Whatever anybody's arguing about, you can always Google it and then type real quick and appear to be more knowledgeable than you are. Well, what I'm about to debunk is so easy. It's incredibly easy. It's really not worthy of my great skill. The goofy story entitled, and you can see it on YouTube. It's got dramatic music, and they have a dozen different people from all over the world telling you about the story, which all boils down to this: that a Roman emperor by the name of Titus Flavius invented Jesus out of thin air based on himself. The story was actually the story of Titus Flavius, but they just changed the name to Jesus of Nazareth. They just changed the names. It was the story of Titus, who was deified by the Romans after he became emperor. He was regarded as, a god by the emperor cult of Rome. So Titus Flavius and his sidekick, a Jewish traitor who became a Roman historian by the name of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, his most famous book. Josephus's name eventually was Josephus Flavius, after Titus Flavius. And the two of them worked in cahoots to concoct out of thin air a man who never existed, Jesus, who supposedly rose from the dead, worked miracles, preached, and was um, executed unjustly, being innocent of any crime, by jealous rulers of the synagogue and this famous whoever was governor. This supposedly happened in 30 AD, where the Roman governor washed his hands ceremoniously in front of the Jews and says, "Well, whatever it is you do to this fella, I have nothing to do with it." And they all yell, "Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!" That's 30 AD. Now, supposedly, that story was concocted around 100 AD by Titus Flavius and his traitorous sidekick, former Jew, now become Roman historian Josephus, who wrote Antiquities of the Jews. That would have been 100 AD, 30 years after the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple in 70 AD. So the Caesar's Messiah was invented around 100 AD. This is pretty simple. The only problem is a man named Paul was already actively persecuting existing Christians around the year 50 AD, or perhaps earlier, because in 50 AD he began writing his epistles to the Christians at various cities around the Mediterranean, such as his epistle to the Galatians, the epistle to the Ephesians, which I believe that's in Greece, and the book of Romans, which I believe is in Rome. Uh, all this was written around 50 to 55 AD, long before Titus and Josephus manufactured the phony Jesus out of thin air. So it seems to me to be incredibly easy to debunk this documentary. Too easy. But if you think I've made a mistake, feel free to chime in. Surely I've made some kind of terrible mistake, but I just don't see it. How could Jesus have been manufactured out of thin air approximately in the year 100 AD when Paul was writing his letters to these churches that he founded around 50 to 55 AD, based on events in Jerusalem that happened around 30 AD? I have no explanation for this. I don't know why they got so worked up making this documentary. That's perplexing. And the music in the documentary was pretty good, but it kept on and it kept on and it kept on. So basically, at the very end of it, that music just kept on playing. Dramatic orchestra, boom, with drums. I had to hit the kill button because I had had enough.